let me see. Already said that. Kind of answered that.
The narrator, running out of questions, panics.
There was one more that I did want to ask. So, do you know if anything is currently being done to create a more diverse judicial branch, at least in the area you work in?
I don't think anything concrete is being done. I do know, at least in the federal system, which is where I work, that the people that are encouraged to apply for judicial positions, or the people that are recruiting for judicial positions, are encouraging minorities to apply. So at least on paper, there is an attempt and an interest in creating a more diverse branch. Unfortunately, when it goes to the practice of it, or it seems to me that not much is happening, because the same kind of people from the same kind of classes are getting the positions. It may be that there were diverse candidates in the process, but for some reason those are not the ones that are getting the positions. I mean, that's at least the feeling that I have.
Shocked regarding Ramos' statements involving no diversity in the judicial branch, I decided to look up 10 ways in which we can improve diversity amongst the judicial branch itself. Alright, so the question is, now we know, based off what the guy just read in his intro, that the margin of white males on the judge's bench is almost nearly 2-to-1 per minorities and other diverse candidates. So the real question here is how do we make it more diverse, but also keeping it fair in how we elect judges? Because maybe instilling some sort of quota wouldn't necessarily be the right thing, but it should happen naturally. So the Brennan Center has a lovely article in which they provide 10 ways on how to create a more diverse bench. Let's see what those are. Numero uno. Recognizing an implicit bias. Scientists have done plenty of research showing and proving that we tend to create an implicit bias towards those who come from disadvantaged groups. What makes it even worse is that sometimes we try to mute these biases and not acknowledge them. So maybe one way to create a more diverse bench is to actually acknowledge these implicit biases, so that way we can learn to work around them. I think of it as prejudice. We all have our own prejudices, and we need to acknowledge them so that way we can work around them and understand why we may think a certain way of someone. Because if you have two qualified candidates and one of those is from a disadvantaged group, then you may pick the other one just because you're not willing to acknowledge your implicit bias. And maybe someone else may not call you out for that because they're not willing to acknowledge their implicit bias. Number 2. Increase strategic recruitment. This one seems pretty straightforward. I mean, you just really have to advertise that you are taking applicants for judges and make sure a lot of people know. If you open it up to more diverse groups of people, maybe there's organizations out there or committees that specifically tailor to disadvantaged groups, and you heavily advertise it towards them, they may be more willing to apply. Because if you keep it on the down low, people may not know about it. Maybe going to committees that specifically tailor to disadvantaged groups and being like, hey, we have an open seat. You all should apply. I think that's a yes. We're on numero 3. Be clear about the role of diversity in the nominating process in state statutes. The Brennan Center of Justice looked heavily into this and found that many commissioners who select the judges found that there was no really clear role of diversity and how it should come into play. By including how and when diversity should come into play through the statutes, it may make things more clear and allow for more diverse applicants to come in and even be accepted. We're almost out the door. Get up and stretch if you're sore, because we're on number 4. I'm actually going to give you guys time to stand up and stretch, because I know you've probably been sitting here for a while. I'll wait. Okay, that's enough time. This one's pretty important. Keep the application process open and transparent. Let the candidates know what to expect when they submit their application. And also keep interviews consistent among candidates. Always keeping them updated and being transparent about this allows for a more fair process during the interviews. Don't be afraid to jump off the high dive, because we're on number 5. Train commissioners to be effective recruiters and nominators. Commissioners need clear standards and appropriate training. Simple as that. If they're properly trained, they can understand how and when diversity even comes into play, and this removes any confusion of how they should be treating it and how to keep it fair. The eggs hatched in the chicks. We're on number 6. Appointing a diversity compliance officer. States should hold someone accountable for a state's selection for a diverse council if it's a success or failure. This officer should also be looking out to see how they can improve their efforts in outreach. Am I in heaven? We're on number 7. A diverse commission is more likely to create a diverse applicant pool, and this will trickle down and create more diverse judges. Wait, we're on number 8. Maintain high standards and quality. Creating a diverse bench can be done without sacrificing quality. In fact, more top national law schools are having more diverse law students than local law schools. I'm a classy person. I need the wine and dine. Because we're on number 9. Raise judicial salaries. State leaders should also keep an eye on judicial salaries. This way, diverse candidates who are going to the big law firm might be more attracted to becoming a judge. And who knows how that can change things up for diversity. I'm going full send. We're on number 10. Improve record keeping. Keeping record of the applicant pool and who's actually on the bench from year to year will allow commissioners to see and track how diversity is changing throughout the years. This makes kind of common sense. That way they can be aware of it and work towards creating a more diverse bench. Overall, these are the 10 reasons that they've stated, and I think they're pretty important, and there are really good ideas to create a more diverse bench. This is important because we need this to change. Thank you for watching the BS Show. This is how to create a diverse judicial bench with John Lewis Dell.